Hey, everybody. We've got an exciting show here. This is a ball of fun, I could tell already. I have a special guest, social influencer, model, a book I just read last night, actually. I finished it. She's the last model standing. We'll talk about that a little later.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
We'll talk about that. I want to make sure you get all my titles right, though.
Okay. Well, you could help me with all that.
Producer and host of Whispers and Witnesses, Primate Rescue in Cameroon. Host and producer of the film Fragile Beauty about indigenous tribes in the southern part of Ethiopia, which, Ray, this is very impressive. I went and stayed with the Mercy people, the Karo people, and the Hammer people, because I went down there to do a story about adornment and fashion, right? Because I'm the last model standing. My whole life's about fashion, right? Right, so that.
Are you really the last model standing?
I honestly am.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that, because I started my career in modeling as a fit model. People always ask me what that is.
What is that?
You stand, right, there you go. You asked the key question. You're standing there and you're working with designers and manufacturers to make their clothing fit regular people. So Ray, you don't know this about me, I'm the perfect size 8.
What does that mean?
Okay, so like my measurements fit most people in America.
Okay.
So I put the clothing on and I give comments and tell my designers and my pattern makers how to make things fit.
Is 8 the perfect size? Like, why not be a perfect size 4?
That is a really good question. And what they're finding out is, what is the perfect size? You know what? We are all different sizes. We're all different shapes.
It doesn't have to do with height, though, right?
Sometimes it can, but you know what? Let's just open up our minds, right? Go to a mall, look at people. They're all different shapes. They're all different sizes. But I have a real knack for understanding women's bodies. Well, I guess I have a knack for understanding men's bodies, too. But I don't make clothing for them.
But they don't have sizes, though, men's, right?
Men's have. So, Ray, when
Can you tell me how that works with women? Like, why 8, 7, 6, 4?
Well, the same way I think on men's, you have like a 40 regular, right?
Okay.
That's a size.
But that's your chest size.
Yeah, you look like a 40 regular. You a 40
that's about
regular?
What I am.
Okay, I'm giving Ray's secrets away on air. He looks like a 40 regular.
How about my neck?
Oh my God, you tripped me up with the neck question. I don't know that, but you have a very average.
What's my weight?
Build. You're 185.
No.
What are you?
172.
Okay, that was not that far off.
That's not bad.
And guess what? I can guess how many jelly beans are in the jar, usually pretty close. So I at least get some points for that, right?
Okay. You got a couple.
But yeah, you have, you're what I call an easy-to-fit body.
Okay.
Because you're very average. Now, there's other guys that are bigger, right? We know about that. And some of them put Yankee clothes on to enhance their body shapes, such as Zach is doing today. But you're what I call right in the middle. And my job is to make women look and feel beautiful.
But what is an 8, though? Why is it 6'8"? Why isn't it 38?
I guess that's how it was always started for women. But those are all really good questions. And maybe going forward, we'll see a change in that. You left out one category, one size fits all.
Oh, tell me about that one.
Well, if things are like really stretchy, right, you can take and make it fit anybody, and that's really cool. And there's more and more stuff out there that is in that category.
Well, let's get into that. I want to get into, Wendy, let's start in the beginning. We'll rifle through the childhood.
We're starting in the beginning? I was born and raised in the Bronx. That beginning?
That's pretty close. But I know your mother was a Miss Universe, was it?
Right?
I
love it. I love talking about my mom. So I think my greatest influencer was my mother. My mother was 5th runner-up in the Miss Connecticut pageant. Okay, 1935.
Now, I saw a picture of that. Can I ask you a question on that? Yeah,
of course. She had the banner on and everything.
Yeah. I mean, you look like, and I know in your book you talk about, you look like you're like always like 41.
Thank you. God bless you. I love Ray. I so love Ray.
That's about what I would guess, too,
Thank you.
I see you in person here.
Thank you.
I'm in the New York studio, by the way.
40
is
the new 20, yes.
We're on the road today. Now, my question is your mother, 1935, I mean, you're not 91.
Right.
So...
my mother certainly had me
you late then.
Had me very late in life, and even in those days, it was like considered, crazy to do that. But she did, and my mother was my biggest influencer. I told my mother 2 things. I remember being 6 years old and watching her line her lips, which, by the way, is my forte, lip liner. I live for it. I remember telling my mother there were 2 things I was going to do. I was going to go on to become a model, and I was going to go to Africa. And you read my book, and isn't that amazing that
you did everything you said?
I did. I was a kid from the Bronx, so nobody, why would you even have that in your mindset, right? but that's what I ended up doing. And my mom was my biggest influencer. We were invited back to the Miss America pageant that they have, and they always invite, former people that were involved with it. I remember being like 6.5 years old and riding in a giant motorcade with all the Miss Americas. And you know that wave that they do? It's kind of like, I'm doing it for you
Queen
now.
Or something?
Yeah. It's like the Queen's wave. And everybody had beautiful hair.
So you did that at age 6?
Makeup. I did. I was in the motorcade. What did I know? It was like I was there. It was meant to be. And here we are, right? When we're talking
now,
about it.
Now, is that subconscious? You put it in your mind at age 6. I want to go to Africa. I want to be. Is that all part of it?
I believe it's not only subconscious. I believe it's instinctive. I believe each and every one of us is really born knowing our path. But some of us are more in touch with ourselves than others. And I've always been an instinctive person. I just always knew. I know lots of things. And coming from a Scotch-Irish background, right? My grandmother came here and read tea leaves. Okay. So I have what you call the gift.
Well, now that you said that,
now we're on that tangent.
Yeah, we're floating around. I was going to get into your upper middle class. I know your dad, but that's all in the book. People could read the book about that. Tell me about your African trip. I want to hear about voodoo. I mean, you're into some pretty crazy things.
Yeah, right. So, you
What's
think
the deal
it's crazy?
With that?
No,
yeah,
I think
I do.
I tell people all
I might change my mind in a minute after I hear you.
Because I'm going to convince you. So here's what I tell people. There are parallel universes out there, right? There's our culture, Western culture. We have certain belief sets. But then when you go and you spend time with indigenous people, or most people know it as tribal cultures, you see a whole other way of looking at things. My interest was just always there. I was always fascinated by magic and things that you couldn't explain. And it was very exciting to me. Okay. I remember taking a cruise with my parents, and one of the ports that we stopped at was Haiti. Right? And Haiti was the home of what they called voodoo, which is really traditional African medicine. I was a kid, and I remember seeing stuff there that was like, well, you just can't explain this. So to the Western mind, or maybe your mind even, Sal, you would say, oh, it's a trick.
Well, you think you're putting a needle in something, and then that person hurts where you put the needle in their arm, and they go, ow. That to me, that's what voodoo is.
Okay, and you know what? If the person who's putting the needle in the voodoo doll is powerful enough, they can definitely affect the other person. So it's all about power. So do you believe me, Ray?
I'm getting closer.
Okay, good. So let's go on, right?
Yeah.
So I'm 20 years old, and I was studying anthropology and archaeology, and an opportunity came along to go to Africa. And I applied for the program thinking this is never going to happen. And like 3 weeks later, I was told, pack your bags, get your visa. You're going to Nigeria, and you're going to live in a village called Ife. Ife is the home of the Yoruba people. The Yoruba people have various gods and goddesses that they believe in. It's a very complex, very beautiful culture. And while I was there, I saw things that couldn't be explained. And my best friend there, his name was Jide Ebegunde. That's Yoruba, which I speak a little bit.
What does that mean in English?
That's his name,
Jide
Ebegunde.
Doesn't mean John or anything?
And no, it doesn't mean John Smith. Right. Complicated name, right? We're much less complicated here, but the names, the names there have personal meanings to the people there. I saw things that couldn't be explained.
I got to hear this
stuff. Here we go. It was called the Shango Festival, and at the Shango Festival, Shango is the god of thunder, and he's a very powerful deity, and I saw people become possessed by Shango. Have you ever seen anyone possessed?
I saw some crazy people, but is that possessed?
Any ex-girlfriends or anything like that?
Not really possessed the way you're talking about.
Okay, not in that sense, right? But I saw people actually take on the spirit of Shango and put hot coals in their mouth, right, that should burn their tongue, and roll on the floor. All of that going on, right, as the spirit enters their body. This is pretty typical stuff with spirit possession. And yet, when the whole ceremony was over, there wasn't a burn on their tongue. Now, how do you explain that?
And they weren't flailing around on the ground?
No, because once you get rid of once the spirit has entered you and done what it's supposed to do, and you've paid homage to the spirit, then, the spirit leaves the body. How do you explain there's no burn marks on the tongue?
I can't explain it.
You can't explain it, right? And neither could I. Okay, fast forward, right? I decided to do this fashion project in the Southern Omo Valley in Ethiopia. And I go down there, and the first group that I wanted to film and tell the story of the Hammer people, they do beautiful body adornment. But the thing that we did there it was called the Jumping of the Bulls. It's a coming-of-age ceremony where a 13-year-old boy, He's completely naked. They line up the bulls. All right, and he has to jump across.
This is a puberty thing? Like a coming of age
but
thing?
if you, you are successful on jumping across the back of the bulls, and I'm going to describe it to you because people think, oh, he just flies over the bulls. Well, how does that happen? Well, that would be a lot of bull, wouldn't it?
Who knows? But go ahead.
He jumps up from the ground, and the bulls are lined up, and he just kind of like hops across the back, jumps down, yes, and then jumps up again and does it again. Okay, so across.
That doesn't sound too hard,
right? Not too hard. However, should he miss one or trip? Because bulls aren't exactly level.
Okay,
you wouldn't know that though, would you? Would I even know that? We don't jump across bulls' backs.
I haven't done that
but
in a while.
They're not exactly, they're not exactly level.
Yeah.
Should he fail, he will lose face in the village, okay? Because the whole idea of this ceremony...
If he slips or
falls, and it has happened, and
Can he
people
stumble
make
and
fun
go
of
to the
him.
next
You could
bull?
stumble,
That's okay.
but no, it's not okay. You can't
gotta
stumble.
go smoothly.
You are flawless.
Okay.
Ray, you're flawless. You're jumping across the back of the bulls. Imagine yourself there, right? Not
Pressure,
a stitch of clothing on.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at you. So you got to be perfect. If you're perfect, you get a house, a wife, and an AK-47.
Holy smokes.
Now, you have to ask me about the AK-47.
Well, tell me about that.
One of the things that people down there are very armed because right now a lot of the tribal people are being moved towards each other because their land is being sold off.
Right now.
Yeah, it's what happened in the United States with Native Americans, and it's happening all over the world. So people there carry AK-47s. That was the hardest thing for me to get used to, but I did. So
and it's safe though. They're not killing people.
No, I even posed for some people. They wanted to take pictures, and they had their AK-47 lined up against my head, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this really isn't happening. I had I posed and made like I was having a good time.
Were you like a goddess, being a blonde and all that?
I wouldn't say goddess. I was just different enough. But the whole idea when you're shooting films about indigenous people, you can't be so different that they don't trust you. The whole thing is you want to get their trust. So we were invited to this ceremony.
With the kid we're talking about.
Yeah, with this kid, right? Okay. And it's called the Jumping of the Bulls, coming of age. So part of the ceremony, and this is something that I can never explain, and people here have questioned me, and they said, oh, come on. A little bit of it is in my film, which is called Fragile Beauty.
Where do we get that? YouTube?
You can, it's not released yet on YouTube. Okay. It's still in festivals. I mean, I'm getting this stuff is all over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing that really will stand out, the men whip the women really hard with branches. And when I was editing this, I really cut down on how much I would show. Because
why are they whipping them with branches?
Because it's part of the ceremony.
Of this with the 13-year-old boy?
Yeah, and the men get together. There's like 25 people, right? And let's just say 13 men and the rest are women.
Okay.
And they're beating the women with these branches. And the women are laughing, and their backs are cut wide open and they're bleeding. And if you
they're laughing.
And they're laughing and having a grand old time. And as I sit here talking to you today, that is something I still can't wrap my head around.
Is it a masochism thing, or like
I
what's the
don't
deal
know.
with it?
It is.
Why is that funny? I mean, why are you laughing if you're getting hit by guys?
Right.
Because this kid's going to celebrate this thing, and that's the...
No, because here's what I'm trying to tell you, right?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Parallel universes. We are one kind of culture. What if your culture is so different, your belief system, right? How much has got to do with what we believe in, that your mind doesn't process pain the same way as like you or me. If someone even like slapped us, right, we would recoil.
Okay.
It would hurt.
Right.
If somebody opened up our back with a branch, we would just be beside ourselves.
Okay.
Part of the ceremony.
That's part of the deal.
It was all part of the deal. Everybody was happy, dancing. They brought over a special drink called, I think, Borna Chaka. I have no idea what was in that. I only take little sips of this stuff because you have no way.
I mean, do you get a little high off it?
You probably can. I only take. I got to be careful with that kind of stuff. I think you get a lot high off of it. Okay. But you know what? They weren't high when they were doing this. They weren't. It was part of the ceremony. So again, let's go back to what our mindsets are.
Okay.
You and I are
this is good
here.
Stuff. This is
and
good stuff.
It's really cool stuff. We're in a Western culture, but these people are in a totally different culture. Listen, I think you know this about me. I am a member of the Explorers Club in New York, right? And one of the things I love doing, I give tours at the club, and I love telling people about, we've got so many great examples of different cultures. The people from the Asmat in New Guinea, we have one of their totems, like that Michael Rockefeller had gone to New Guinea to get. He disappeared. Nobody knew what happened to him. And the Rockefeller said he drowned. That's not what happened to him at all. He was definitely confiscating things he probably shouldn't have taken.
Oh.
You know what a totem is? A totem has...
Like a totem pole.
Right. Well, yeah, that's good. And you know what? I love that you know that, because most people...
Well, everyone knows a totem pole.
Well, yeah, but what's in a totem pole? What's in a totem? What's in a carved face? It really is the spirits of ancestors. It's not just random faces, right? It's the spirits of ancestors.
The people that lived a long time ago, and they were alive. And now there they are in the totem.
Exactly. And you pay homage to them. You pay respect to them. Okay. When someone dies in your family, you carve one of those poles. Mm-hmm. And in the case of the people from the Asmat, it's half man, half monkey. But it contains the spirits, the human spirit of their ancestors. Well, Michael Rockefeller's down there collecting this stuff, right? Not a good thing. I have to tell you, when I'm at the Explorers Club talking about it, and we've got that totem there, I won't touch it. Or pardon my pun, I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole, totem or otherwise.
Why won't you touch it?
I just have seen too much of that.
It's too sacred?
I do believe in that stuff, and I'm part of this culture. But you know what? I've just seen too much.
What happened to Michael Rockefeller? I really don't know that story. Did he disappear or something?
He disappeared. So you know Governor Rockefeller, right? And you know the Rockefeller family. We've got all these foundations.
And
so Governor Rockefeller decided, and this is I hate the name of this, he was going to have a primitive museum here, and that was going to be...
Because primitive is a negative type of thing.
It is a negative connotation. Now, back in those days, political correctness, people had all sorts of words that we would never use now. He called it a primitive museum. And if you go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, I highly suggest that you do. Mm-hmm. The Michael Rockefeller wing has all of these amazingly giant totems. It was named after Michael Rockefeller. Governor Rockefeller was going to do a museum. Michael goes down there, and he didn't go to Papua New Guinea. He goes to the Asmat.
How old was he when he went there?
He was in his 20s, and he really loved the artwork. And I know he was turned on by the culture. And what he started to do is, like every group as non-developed into art culture as these people were, everyone wants the same things at the end of the day. He went down there with fish hooks. He went down there with tobacco, and he started trading. And people looked at him from another world and thought, there might be something to this, even though we've been so traditional for so long. So he starts trading. He trades it for these totems that he should not have had in the first place. All right. So
he wants to get the totems to bring it back.
Absolutely. And he had four or five successful shipments. It was the last shipment when he was in the canoe going from island to island. The boat runs out of gas. It's him and another guy. He used the gasoline cans and he filled them up with water, used them as floaties to go ashore to try and get help because the canoe was going down, even though it was motorized. Motor had stopped working. Bad situation.
Okay.
Comes upon shore, comes upon 3 local guys, and that was the last that anyone ever saw of him. And there's an investigative reporter and author, Carl Hoffman, New York Times bestseller list, wrote the book Savage Harvest, fabulous book. You would love it. Really great. He's a great storyteller, and he really did his work. Michael was murdered. Why was he murdered by 3 local people?
How long ago was this?
This was back in the 60s, right? Michael disappeared.
Oh, okay.
Why was he murdered?
He's never came back again.
No, and there's indications down there that somebody's got his glasses. Generations since still talk about it.
Okay.
He was murdered, and the reason is the Dutch were colonizing that part of the world then, and they had killed 5 people, local people, over a land dispute or something. You know what happens when people come in and say, "Hey, I want your land. I don't care that it's ancestral
They'll kill
land."
You and do anything they could to get it.
Right, that's what colonization is. They kill 5 local people, and those people in particular very much believed an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Here we have this guy from the United States, from the different culture. That's it. Boom, you're gone.
So he was dealing with fire.
He really played with fire. However, the totems are really amazing. We have one at the Explorers Club, which I hope you come by for one of my very informative and entertaining, I may add, tours.
When are the tours?
Yeah, the tours are whenever you can call up and make an appointment.
Okay,
and I will specifically come in special to
personalized
share
tours.
Everything I know about exploration, right? Because exploration in the past, exploration in the present is the exploration of the future.
Well, let's get back to this 13-year-old now.
Yep.
Okay, so he's jumping over the bulls.
Right. I love it. I caught you. You have the image in your head.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, my God,
I
Ray,
mean,
you've made my
this
day.
naked
This is
kid
great.
running across bulls.
Right. We got the naked kid running across the bull.
Yeah. I mean, that's a scene, right?
It was a scene. He did it impeccably.
Okay, so he gets the house, he gets the AK.
The house, the wife, the AK-47. We celebrated. We born a Chaco. We danced. We sang.
What percent make it? I mean, is like half don't do it? Or?
That's a really good question. Things got lost in translation. I was told by someone that spoke somewhat decent English that most make it.
Most make it.
Okay. But for the ones that don't, losing face that's a big thing, right? It's like when you were growing up, you didn't want to ever lose face.
That's a human thing. That's not a cultural thing.
But But I love that you picked that up. Every culture. Right? Any culture you look at, none of us want to lose
Is a lot
face.
of it the same when you go there? I know it's different in the ways you're talking, but is it a lot of it the same?
Sure.
All of it the same?
Yeah, we'll go to China. Losing face that's an intrinsic thing in their
humor
culture.
the same? I'm sure sadness is the same. Like, is it all the human emotions everywhere, or is any of that different even?
You're just blowing me away here. I love that you got this. Yeah, I tell people this,
that's
as different as our adornments, right?
Yeah,
as different as our adornments are, as different as we can look on the outside, maybe your body language, I don't mean you in particular, but maybe an indigenous person, different body language, different culture. But at the end of the day, we're all people. We're all mothers, fathers. We all care about a future. Mm-hmm. We all have a God that we worship. We are all the same at the end of the day, and that's what people really need to realize. Very important fact.
Okay. The voodoo, though, I'm 50% convinced.
How? Okay, I'm not doing a good job here. Then how can I only be 50% convinced?
But what is it? Is it believing in something that's almost supernatural? Like what is voodoo?
So I've had this conversation with scientists.
I could look it up online, but what is it?
It is believing in traditional beliefs
That's
that
voodoo.
that were passed down. Believing in the power of an object, or a traditionally made medicine, or the power of a person.
So voodoo is in this country, then. I probably believe in voodoo, if that's what voodoo is.
Well, think about it. Think about what we call in this country our Illuminati. Think about our stars, the people, our celebrities. In many ways, to me, isn't that just, that belief in them? Now, are they famous because they're celebrities, or are they famous because they're so infused with power from the people around them? Nobody can answer that question.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Once again, at the end of the day, we're all very similar.
Okay.
But voodoo, for instance, simple
I'm
stuff.
70% now.
Okay, so I'm going to take you over the line with this.
Okay.
Do you have things that you want or desire?
I kind of, yeah.
Can you share with me what those are?
What I want and desire?
Yeah, like I don't know. Let's just say, are you looking to take a particular trip? Are you looking for something great to happen in your life? Maybe a different house that you're looking in, or you have your eye on something, right? Many people, it can be a job promotion or whatever. Somebody might go out and buy a candle and light that candle, and
I'm looking to make $1 billion next year.
Okay, there you go.
Happen.
All right.
Okay.
So Ray wants to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
So in your case, I would suggest you go out and get a green candle, and I would suggest that you say a little prayer, your own prayer. It can be your own over this green candle.
A green? Does it have to be green?
Yeah, green for money.
Okay.
Okay. Green for money, then in your thought, you see yourself, you imagine yourself in what we call your mind's eye, right? You know what I mean by that? The third eye that we have in the middle. See yourself.
Your imagination. Is that what that is?
Well, it's a form. Yeah, I'll break it down to that. Imagine yourself and see the money flowing towards you.
Okay.
This time next year, you will have made $1 billion.
If I do that correctly.
Do I get a commission?
I'll give you 10%. All right.
Only 10.
I'll give you a lot of motivation.
Come on! For these secrets, at least 20.
All right. 20 is all right. Yeah, like 800 million, I'll clear. Okay.
Okay. So now, do I have a little bit of your belief
in
what I'm talking about?
I get it.
Guarantee you, Ray's going to run around to a local bodega or wherever he can to get that green candle.
We'll come back to this stuff. We could talk not 25 hours on this stuff. Your fascination with reading your book, Transvestites. I like to talk about that.
Okay, so I wouldn't call it a fascination. I am very involved with the LGBTQ community.
Okay.
Not so much as a fascination as the political aspects of how LGBTQ people have been treated in our society.
What does the Q stand for? I was thinking
queer, which is it used
that
to be
LGBT.
That's another letter, and a lot of my friends who have been in the movement for a long time, they're like, there's too many letters, blah blah blah. You know what? I don't judge it on that. I'm a humanitarian, and I just believe that I want equality for all, and I just so happen to have a lot of friends in that community, and have as a child.
Okay.
I have always been a huge part of the gay community. When AIDS was running rampant at that point, we were involved taking care of the pets of anyone that had HIV or AIDS in an organization called POWERS, Pet Owners with AIDS Resource Service, started by these two amazing men, Steve and Howard. They were a couple. They didn't.
So the pet owners get the AIDS?
They had, right, because it was rampant, right? And
can pets get it too? Just curious.
I don't mean
to be,
well, there's a feline form of,
so
suppressed
like
immune system, but it's not the same thing. But when people were getting it, right, they were in the hospital. Well, what happens? Do you have a dog or a cat, Ray?
I have a dog.
Okay, you have a dog. Let's just say you get sick and you don't, and your partner has already died.
Right, I got you.
Your parents are not exactly willing to help you out. That happened a lot. Maybe your friends are sick too. What happens to your dog? So our friends who started this organization, POWERS, Pet Owners with AIDS Resource Service, they took care of the pets of anyone that had HIV or AIDS. They had 250 volunteers and at least as many clients. Because in those days, there was a drug called AZT. Most people who took it got very sick and died.
I remember, right.
Right. That was one of the early drugs that should have never, ever made it out there.
That was 80s.
Yeah, it was back in the 80s. So, and you remember there was a group called ACT UP, Silence Equals Death. Do you know what that symbol meant? The silence equaling the death. So, and I'm not going to get into what was politically happening, but Ronald Reagan was the president at the time, and it was literally this epidemic that was happening was not being talked about. And it was spreading, and nobody was doing anything about it except in the gay community. So my commitment has just been, since then, I've been put on this earth for a purpose. I know that. And I'm just there. That's what I'm doing. And the biggest growing group now I'm finding is trans. It's hit the news mainstream. Unfortunately, one of the mainstream ways it hit the news was with Caitlyn Jenner. That's a whole other story.
That's unfortunate, you think?
It is unfortunate because that Caitlyn, more money than you can shake a stick at. That's not the experience.
Is that a money motivating thing with her coming out like that, you think?
What we thought, I have expected she was going to, come out like that and then transition back, right? Because
back to a man.
Right, because what they did, but what they did, everything was for publicity, for notoriety. I mean, look at the amount of money that they made and are continuing to crank out. A lot of the people that I am involved with, I work with an organization now. We service the tri-state area. We're called Triversity, as in tri-state, right? Our biggest growing group is the trans community. And my people, some of them...
Transsexual or transvestite or both?
Not the word transvestite, it's just transitioning. Let's just say transition. People that are transitioning, female to male, largely male to female, right?
Is that where most of the transitioning goes?
It's hard to say because lots of people come to New York and they're in their early 20s. It can go either way. But I'm saying in my particular group, and I've got people in my group that have been in the Army, they've been in the Air Force, and now, in this political arena, they're saying they're taking away the honor that these people were in our military, and now they're being told...
Did they get kicked out of the military?
Well, the new thing, that he who cannot be named has said is he's devalued what they did in the military. That is so flat out wrong and shouldn't be. And the trans community is growing in leaps and bounds. There are more and more people now, because of the time that we're in, being able to say, hey, I need to identify my truth. All right. I may have been born in one kind of body, but I am another kind of body. And I not only 100% support that, I will do anything. And the people that I work with know that I will do anything to make their path easier. That is not an easy path for anybody. I mean, imagine, right? You're in your 50s and you're transitioning in your 50s. You've got a wife and 2 teenage kids. There's not a heck of a lot of resources out there for you.
You mean psychologically or
every which way? Every which way, you know. Right. And even my honest opinion about the hormone therapy. You know, thank God here in New York, you can get really good, reliable hormone therapy. I'm sure in California, you know, there are places where people are taking hormones I'm not even sure are the right amounts. It's not. I don't believe it's scientifically investigated enough. I believe we can all be doing a better job in that area. But you know what, Ray? We're at the beginning of all of this. 5 years from now, I hope you and I know each other and we're having a totally different conversation.
Are we like in the first inning or the first out?
First inning. Early? There you go.
Okay.
Right.
We're that
the
early.
First inning. Like you're on the Yankees now. But I can't talk about them because I'm not a sports person.
Well,
we are in the first inning.
You grew up in the Bronx. You're not a Yankee fan?
No, I'm not. I have no interest in sports. I like the way the guys look in their uniforms. And I like the football players even more the way they look in their uniforms. Baseball doesn't do anything for me.
Basketball too? Like
yeah. It's, you know, the shorts and everything that can work.
On the trans, Wendy,
yes.
do you? I mean, are you an underdog person, or why them so much, or you know, why do you go to them?
Once again, we're back to our beginning questions. Instinct.
It's just your feeling.
It's gut feeling, and I know that I'm a person that can make a difference. I have been, and I'm there. I've been put there. Each one of us has been put on this earth, right, to do something. That's why I'm there, you know, and I have tremendous, unbelievable friendships with people in that community. We just had 50 years of Pride. Wow. That was amazing. Everyone said, oh, you're going to be in the parade. No, it's not a parade. It's a march. Why is it not a parade when we all have equal billing?
Those parades are the best parades, I got to say.
Well, it's an incredible march, but you can't forget that it is a political march. But we had 4 million people descend. Everyone's saying 4 million people in Manhattan. It was in one area of Manhattan. And I was helping to lead my group, Triversity, but I never even got to watch the march this year. There were just so many people, so many interest groups, and people from all over the world. I was on a stellar block. They have you line up, right? And you're waiting for hours.
Were you part of the parade? Or?
I led our group. I led Triversity. And we had
Okay.
with us Catskills Pride, who is an incredible group up in Sullivan County. And we had...
Are you part of that community yourself? I know you're married. But...
Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with it. I'm a huge part...
Okay.
Yeah, of course. One of the people that has been with my organization, Triversity, we used to be called the Upper Delaware LGBTQ from the beginning. I've been there from the beginning.
Are you heterosexual, I'm getting at? Or?
Oh, well, whatever. You know, I have a husband, 2 rabbits, a cockatoo, and a daughter.
Okay.
So I don't think I quite fit into a category.
Okay.
I'm just me. I'm just Wendy at the end of the day.
All right.
There you go.
Wow.
So we're going to dance around that one, aren't we?
This is wild.
Will you dance with me, Ray?
Well, I saw you were a great dancer. I am.
I love dancing. I love electronic music. I love the electronic DJs, Tiesto. Any of those DJs are just amazing.
But you were in Studio 54, and my listeners love this stuff.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Tell me about Andy Warhol. Tell me about Michael Jackson. And these guys were in the day, right?
Okay, but not only in the day. Here I am. I met Andy Warhol, and I had a discussion with him.
What was Andy Warhol? He's a legend in art, right?
He was odd. I mean, I can talk...
Was he a short guy?
I can talk to anyone.
He was like a little
probably,
guy.
He wasn't little, but, you know, average height guy, but he just didn't say a lot. And it's so reflected in his work, like his movie Empire, like no sound, nothing. He just focused on the Empire State Building for, you know, minutes, hours of 20 minutes on end. So that movie to me very much defines his personality. But I met him and I was talking with him and he offered, now I was a kid from the Bronx, okay? You have to understand, you are so wide-eyed. You can't believe that you're hobnobbing with people that you only read about, right? Halston, Liza Minnelli, Calvin Klein.
You're hanging out with these people.
You're hanging out with these people.
They're right next to you in Studio.
Yeah, and it's like, you know.
Are you in awe or are you like, no big deal? This is New York,
of course I was like Wendy Fleischman from the Bronx. This just doesn't happen to people like me. But that was the beauty of Studio 54, wasn't it?
Was it hard to get in?
Initially, it was for me. If you read,
you got to know someone to get in. The guard
you read it in the book. I remember I had just gotten out of college, and it's January, and I'm standing outside Studio 54, and it's, you know, dress below my knee and high heel, open-toed shoes, pantyhose. Oh my God, what was I thinking in this outfit? And screaming, Mark, Mark, Mark. And he passed me over. So I finally learned. I watched what other people wore, and my thing, ballet tutus.
That got
Nobody
it in.
did. I was like, I didn't know where the tutus.
The weirder it looked, the better it was shot.
You know what? I think I have like deep inside. I always wanted to be a ballet dancer. So what could be better? Than I love costume.
Right.
Oh my gosh! Even now, you were asking me about the march. Anything I do, I'm adorned in. And I still go out in costumes. So here I am in these ballet tutus in front of Studio 54. And that was the ticket. That was the thing that got me in. And I got in. I meet Andy. Andy offers me a part in a film with Joe D'Alessandro. And, he was going to pay me with a painting. I could barely make ends meet at the time. Trust me, Ray. I had
one of his paintings.
Yeah, I had every crumb.
You had no idea how much that would be worth.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
And he, to someone like me, he was just a weirdo that painted soup cans at Studio 54. What would I know? It was like a joke to me. So there you go. I was there. Didn't take the painting. Never did the film with Joe D'Alessandro. Okay. And here we are today, you and I, talking about it.
Think of the turn it would have happened if you would have did that.
But this was a really incredible time in New York. And there's so many more incredible times I can tell you about. My early modeling jobs. Oh, my gosh. I worked in Bloomingdale's as a sprayer for Chloe. All those poor kids that come to New York that have big dreams. There I was, my first promotional modeling job. I stood on the floor of Bloomingdale's. It was Christmas time for $15 an hour, big bucks then. And I said, would you like a spray of Chloe? Would you like a spray of Chloe? Hundreds and hundreds of times a day. One day I'm standing there.
You were those people that would spray you as you go by.
Yes. Yeah. And do you know what Chloe smells like? It's sweet. It smells like
good salesmanship.
It is dead grandmothers. But back in those days, I couldn't tell people that.
Oh, that was that smell thing. I got it.
It's still with me. I'm sitting here and this Chloe smell is all coming back to me. So I go up to this perfectly dressed, very nice looking gentleman in a suit, and I say, would you like a spray of Chloe? Now, after all that rejection, because people would, they avoid you, they give you dirty looks, he says, oh, you're beautiful. I'd love a spray of Chloe. And I go to get my little sprayer, and I put my finger on the atomizer. He unzips his pants and pees all over my counter.
Whoa.
How bad taste was that?
So he was conning you.
I guess obviously there was
a mental case.
Yeah, the guy was a mental case, right? A nut job. So there you go.
Let me get into my hit and miss, Wendy. This is my final section.
Oh my God! We're back to baseball.
No. Well,
I told you I can't talk about baseball.
Because I'm a baseball fanatic.
Here we go.
Hit and miss word association. Favorite color?
Yellow.
If you're on a deserted island and you had 2 musical CDs, what would you take with you?
Madonna's new CD and probably one of David Guetta's CDs.
Okay. If you were in a foxhole other than a family member, who would be in there with you?
Oh, that's a real tough one.
Yeah.
Can I say pass?
You want to come back to it, or you just didn't want to pass
I'm going to have to come back because I'm going to offend whoever.
Yeah, we'll come back. Favorite movie?
No, let me jump back. I would take Nugget. My little Nugget, my long-haired Chihuahua.
Okay.
Bloomer-colored Chihuahua. Yeah, because he loves Mama.
All
my
right.
last Chihuahua hated Mama. Okay, go.
Favorite movie?
When Harry Met Sally. I like that movie.
Okay.
It was just a very New York, I like Romos, I'm like, happy, sunny.
Did you like that part, in that famous? What was your favorite part?
I'm having what she's having.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a great line.
Rob Reiner, his mother, right?
Yeah, I'm having what she's having.
Okay, favorite actor, actress?
Oh, gee, that's, I love Meryl Streep. Everyone tells me that I remind them of her somewhat. And
as I'm seeing you here 3 feet away,
I get that, and I get Suzanne
that look.
Sommer, and then I get Barbara Eden. And favorite actor would have to be, oh my God, his name's going out of my head, but the Green Book. Come on, we know this.
The Green Book.
He won an Academy Award. No, the Green Book.
Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks.
Oh, okay.
That was in the Green Book, but I like Tom Hanks.
He was in a lot of great movies.
Yeah,
right?
Tom Hanks he's an amazing actor.
Yeah,
and he's a great person too.
Yep.
And he's I like people that have a funny base. I'm a funny girl. I like funny people.
Okay.
You're a funny guy, Ray.
I know you were a comedian at one point,
right,
but that's another show. It's another show. Okay. Okay. Now, what's the most majestic animal in the world?
Peacock.
Okay.
Was that a good answer?
Yeah, they're all good.
Okay, they're good answers.
Yeah.
There's no bad answers. Am I going to win something? Do you have
win
something,
a
little prize at the end?
Ocean.
The Mediterranean.
Okay. South Dakota.
no feeling whatsoever for South Dakota. Never been there. Fargo, right? Didn't Fargo take place in South Dakota? Couldn't even get through the first 5 minutes of that movie.
I think so.
Desolate, Badlands. Not that it's a bad place. People I know love it, but it's like, I'm warm, I'm fuzzy, I'm yellow, I'm out there.
I got you.
Okay.
That's
I'm
a lot of words,
Badlands,
but
right?
Okay,
right.
You get into it. Good.
Okay, we're back in the foxhole.
Right.
No, we're not.
Couple more, we're done. Couple more.
Go. I love this.
You're not a baseball fan, but I was going to ask this. Could Babe Ruth play baseball today? Babe Ruth, the legendary Babe Ruth.
He would totally.
Could he play baseball today?
He could play baseball
in a modern baseball world?
Yeah, because you know what? Real celebrity's real celebrity, and you can't take that away from anybody. So, yes, he could totally play today.
Good. What's your favorite song?
That's a tough one.
Is that funny?
Yeah, it is funny to me because, I have so many. I'm a big music aficionado, and I like all kinds of music. So that's a really hard one. I can't
well, that's
because
why this is hard. This is a hard thing.
No, but most people have a type of music they like. I'm telling you, I go from
electronic.
What's one
of a couple of favorite songs you have? Which one of
Ray of Light, Madonna.
Okay.
Oh, we're back to Madonna. You can see why I would like Madonna, can't you?
You saw her, right?
Yeah, of course. She was in my book. I saw her and I said, who is that girl? She's terrible. She did a terrible song. It was called Borderline. Yeah. I didn't like Madonna in those days at all. Those songs had no energy.
Did she have any kind of charisma, though? She seemed to have that, or not?
Well, she was like a girl I knew from Studio 54, but I also knew her from Danceteria prior to that.
Were you shocked that she became so huge?
Yes, I totally was, because I didn't think that she would. So, but even I can be wrong. Oh my gosh! And I started out by telling you I have great instincts. What will people think of me?
Did you see Michael Jackson? I thought I saw him in your book too.
Michael Jackson was around. I never had any interaction with Michael Jackson, but of course he was.
Would
around,
Madonna be like the Michael Jackson of the '80s, female version?
Could be, yeah, absolutely. I like that. I like that you pulled Michael Jackson and Madonna together because they were friends.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I could see that. Was she beautiful?
She is beautiful.
Yeah.
You have to give it up to her. She's beautiful.
Right.
How many people have transcended that amount of time? You can't answer that because it's it's unbelievable.
You're right.
It's only Madonna.
And she stays in shape, too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Rocking out your best.
Okay, my last hit and miss. You ready for this one?
Wait, I'm a little worried.
Okay. Well, actually, there's two more.
Okay. I'd take three. I'm really having a good time with this. I feel like I'm up at bat.
Yeah, well, you hit and miss, right? Okay, you're hitting, though.
Right.
Okay. If you had to meet one person tomorrow in ever that lived, and I'm going to let you meet them tomorrow, who would it be?
Oh, my gosh, you should know the answer to that. Jane Goodall. All right.
Oh,
I make movies about endangered animals, and Jane Goodall.
Is she still alive?
Not only is she still alive,
she's still 85, right?
raising tremendous amounts of money for chimps and primates, has single-handedly affected people that had no idea about any of this. What is great about her is she's a communicator. How many people have the power to reach that many people in the world? I look at her and say, that's what I aspire to.
I got to believe you're going to be meeting her one day.
I hope so. I have met so many of the people in the wildlife and conservation. I haven't met her yet, but she's an amazing human being.
Okay. And now my last one.
Yes.
Ready? Okay. This is going to be a interesting answer from you.
Uh-oh.
If you had to have one wish, that I'm a genie and I'm going to grant you this wish tomorrow, what would your wish be?
My wish would be to get my message out. I make films about indigenous animals, people.
What's an indigenous animal?
So indigenous people, animals, remote
like rescue
subjects.
Dogs, that kind of thing?
Well, I'm working on a film right now called Working Dogs, a love story, telling the story. But it's not just about dogs and their people. It's about their relationship, their bond. As a storyteller, Ray, I have a different way of coming at things. It's a little bit Anthony Bourdain-ish and a little bit rock and roll. And the idea to have this show, to be able to bring this to people. I'll go anywhere in the world to tell these stories. My show will and is, right, with the films I've done, interesting, advocating, educating, and most of all, entertaining. And I believe you can bring entertainment anywhere in the world and make it stick.
Wow. Tell me give me a minute of your stand-up right now.
Oh no,
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Like, oh my gosh,
that?
You're really putting me on the spot. Okay, so I used to open up my show where
and then we'll wrap it
tell
up.
people I went to SUNY Binghamton, State University in New York at Binghamton. Everyone was pre-law or pre-med. I was pre-menstrual. I just thought you asked that.
Okay. Hey. All right. Good job. That was Wendy Stuart Kaplan?
Yes.
I'm Ray K. Check her book out. All this stuff's in the book and more. She's the last model standing.
On Amazon.
Is there a He's the Last Model Standing? Or is that just like...
No, my follow-up book is going to be I'm Still Standing.
Is that going to be coming up?
I hope so, yeah. I have enough stuff to put in it.
Okay, good. All right. Wendy Stuart, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And
it's
this is
terrific.
Ray K. We'll catch you next time.